A wonderful day to you all and greetings in St. Lasalle. Welcome to Journal Journeys, a program where we give the spotlight and look back on the journeys of esteemed journalists. This is CAMJOUR A51 or CJA TV. And today we have a very special guest, Sir Francis Allan Angelo. Introduce myself first. I am Kylie Mamales, and with me is my partner.
I am Waki Medina, and today we have the privilege of speaking with Mr. Francis Allan Angelo, an accomplished and esteemed journalist with a wealth of experience. And as we know, he's the editor-in-chief of the Daily Guardian, which is an English-language newspaper circulating in Iloilo City. Right, Bob? For our first question, can you share how you ventured into journalism and including your motivations, preparations, educational background?
I always wanted to be a journalist actually. When I took up UPCAT in UP, my preferred course really was journalism in Diliman. But at that time, tagal na nun, so at the time I was waitlisted. So I had to cross-reg to Visayas, UP Visayas where I was based. And I took a political science, and so 6 years hence I nag-drop out ako ng UP Visayas from political science, and came across at that time the Guardian, the paper. Yung pangalan niya, may wanted ads sila looking for reporters. The paper was just like 2 years old at that time. So nag-apply ako because ang laging binabasa akong daily newspaper o magazine. So yun, nag-apply ako, then the rest is history. I did as a reporter, then more than 20 years after, I'm right here where I am.
Let's move on to the next question. What are your earliest memories of being part of newspaper, TV radio station, or any media outlet?
Greenhorn ka, wet behind the ears ka pa. I mean, you get the easy assignments, the easy part. Minsan parang PR coverage. Kung ano lang yun yung iniimbitahan yung newspaper, doon ka magko-cover. The paper underwent very drastic changes. People left. And so, I had to force myself to, double time, skills-wise and resources-wise, para lang lumabas yung papel. There was a time na tatlo na lang kami naiwan sa newsroom. Yung editor, ako, saka yung layout. For how many years we had, that was the setup, and somehow that somehow propelled me to my current position. And more memorable things about my work is we had to cover a kidnapping case of a businessman's son na kinidnap for ransom. And at the time I was doing the side of the police beat, and a police official had to call us na kung nakikiusap, you can like hold on to the story until na may clarity yung nangyari and for the safety of the victim as well. Eventually, because it's all over na and people were already asking anong nangyari, they also want clarity to the public. We had to go with the story because I think it was high time for the people to know what happened. Para walang haka-haka, rumors, and we bit the bullet na ilabas yung story.
So, di ba po, people always say like journalism is, they don't really take it seriously as a career kasi daw mababa yung pay, ganyan. So, how would you describe your relationship with your colleagues and your perspective on pay and benefits in the field?
That's the, sabi na natin, dark underbelly. If we want to reach that, maturity, that we will be considered as a profession, the industry itself should ayusin nilang sarili nila. Hindi na pag-uusapan yan kasi parang tabu. But I think it's high time na pag-usapan yan para ma-elevate ang journalism, not just a passion.
Another topic we can discuss is your colleagues. Siguro you can recall most memorable editor distinction.
As always, yung aming founding publisher, memorable in a way na we recognize the sacrifices that they had as family. Even have to use their family's resources to nurture the paper. Yung asawa ng may-ari had to go abroad just to support the paper, not necessarily the family. Publisher namin should be given a lot of credit, at least from my perspective, for trying to develop the paper and bring it where it is right now.
So, for the next question po, when reflecting on your career, what stands out as your most unforgettable assignment and why?
Siguro yun yung sinabi ko kanina, yung sa kidnapping case na it's the moment na parang when you decide between what the paper needs or is required and kung ano yung hinihingi ng ibang tao. Sometimes it gets in the way of your work or job as a journalist. But failures also are memorable for me because, for example, we got it wrong in a particular news and we had no recourse but to be accountable for it. Kita mo yung reaction ng some of the audience na they appreciate the gesture of being accountable.
Is there like a point in your job na siguro like yung pagre-red tagging gano'n?
Yeah. Even before red tagging, threats were pretty much commonplace. There was a time na hindi ko naman natanggap directly. But narinig ko lang sa isang common friend who told me na, pre, mag-ingat ka. They're planning to do this to you because of your stories. People want to harm you because of what you're doing.
So, that being said po, di ba parang mababa yung pay, tapos may red tagging, tapos there's lots of challenges in combat journalism. Despite all that, what kept you committed to the field despite all of that? And conversely, like what prompted your decision to leave journalism?
Well, those are the very reasons why I'm still around because kailangan pag-usapan na yan ngayon. There are ways of doing that and addressing the problem. Pangalawa, threats. It's part of the territory but I think there are ways to make iwas of the threats and mitigate the threats. And I think it's more like, para sa akin kasi, it's time for journalists as well to get down on their towers kung nasaan man sila. Whether it's an ivory tower or bamboo tower, and let the audience decide and help shape what they want to know and what is needed to be relayed to the public. Huwag tayong maging detached sa mga audience natin. Again, you cannot preach on an empty stomach. So that's why I'm still here, para mabalik yung tiwala ng mga tao sa journalism.
Speaking of changes na sinabi nyo kanina ng AI, can you share your observations on the changes in newsroom dynamics, news coverage, and the impact of evolving technology throughout your career?
It's very important na huwag tayong matakot sa mga ganyang bagay. There are certain sets of fears and apprehensions being raised against modern technology. AI, for example, will replace the reporters. But if you look at it, you study AI, it's just another tool that we can use to hasten our work and to find more interesting stories. But that's just the tool because, again, the researching, the in-depth research, interviews, and writing will always go back to the reporter. I think newsroom should really start studying and understanding how these things work so we can have, number one, a set of code of practice or policies kung paano gamitin to, hanggang saan lang. And dapat yung policies is always to protect journalism and journalists.
All of that being said, ano po yung mapapayo nyo to upcoming aspiring journalists given all of the challenges in the field, especially the new ones like AI and I guess people trying to crack down on that?
Iba, takot kung ano mangyayari. I'm very excited. Kahit wala na ako, but given the new things that we encounter right now, journalism, if the policies are there, and the people with the right mindset and yung puso nandun, it's a dualistic world. It's not a perfect world, but sa mga batang journalists, train yourselves more. The basics, madali lang yan magsulat, madali lang yan mag-report, but always tool and retool yourselves with technology and the proper perspective and the right perspective. And of course, never forget yourselves. Unahin nyo muna yung sarili nyo. Maybe you would enjoy more journalism figuratively and literally, meaning mas maraming news outlets using better technology who can report better because of technology. And para opportunities for the young ones, the younger generation of journalists would still be there. Kasi kita nila, okay, pwede, lucrative pala eh. And at the same time, may fulfillment ka. Because in the current times, ang advantage mo lang naman is how you understand the tools that you're going to use. And I think the younger generation of journalists are in a better position towards that.
Alright everyone, so that was it for today's episode of Journal Journals. We would like to thank you all for tuning in to CJA TV. And once again, and as always, live Jesus in our hearts forever.